Round one was a fairly good platform on which to build for round two, but you mentioned before that Zandvoort is not your favourite circuit, so let's talk about that first of all. So, do you have any different opinions now on that?
No, I still don't really like Zandvoort that much. I think I kind of just there's definitely a lot of luck, and a large element of me being a safe driver and not doing anything silly, or wrecking myself out, or actually I have a like this weird habit of sometimes being crap in practice, but then like kind of when all the chips are down, then I perform like a weird sort of opposite it's all right on the night kind of thing. Basically, I was not having a good time in practice.
You started race one, both you and Olivia, quite promisingly, and this time it seemed from the outside that you were both a bit more competitive. Is that how you would read it too?
Yeah, to a great degree. I think for me at least, what helped was Zandvoort was a very draft heavy track, and kind of if you stayed on the back of the train, like you could sort of keep up. And in others, just defend for my life, really.
Race two was the big race for Prismatic. P12 and P14 at finish. Maybe you can talk us through how you got such a fantastic result and what you think went so well for both of you in that race.
Honestly, I think it was a little bit of luck and a lot of skill. Early in the race, as I was trying to maintain position, somebody came up my inside in turn three, and on the exit, sort of didn't want to let me back on track and just like tapped me wheel to wheel and then ended up in the wall. Um, but I think honestly, otherwise, it was a case of just maintaining position.
Are there any particular overtakes or incidents to highlight? Maybe we can talk through it a little bit.
Well, I think the big wreck in turn three, where me and Ohe both managed to make it through, and I think the guy that was between us also managed to make it through somehow. That was kind of terrifying to come up on all of a sudden in turn three. You're like, there's a bunch of cars sideways, still moving after crashing in turn three. I could tell that the high line through turn three was still safe. Was safe. There was no cars up there, and then there was an incident on the last lap of race two. A guy who had just served just served a drive-through penalty for getting too many incident points, which is incredibly ironic. Sent a move on me where I knew it was going to happen, so I had left him space on the apex, but he had sent a massive move and had like almost cleared me, but like almost in the sense of my front tire was still alongside with him, and as he missed the apex, he hit me. And like, should I have like broken the contact? Maybe. Like if you spin off my nose, that's your problem, you know? I wasn't gonna like let him have the position after making contact with me for that move, so I just held my steering as it what like where it was to try and make my corner, and he spun off my nose.
Olivia, great to see you. So, tell me about that first race. Obviously, much improved result from the first meeting at Zandvoort. So, what went well for you in that first race?
Um, I mean, we just did a good job staying out of trouble again. There was a lot of practice that went into trying to find that race pace, especially through places like turn three with that banking. It was very difficult to work out how to carry good speed through there. So I've got to really thank Rachel, who's our performance engineer for this season, for turning some laps and really working out what the trick was to race to turn three. You really have to get onto the top line through the early phase of the corner and then hold it up there. It's almost like you diamond it on oval for the first half, and then you just hand that top line around the outside for the rest. So in terms of preparation, it really went well in terms of finding that pace. Qualifying still something to work on, I think. it's never really been my strongest suit. It's always because I've had to really work hard to find pace over that one lap. But we were able to cut through pretty well in terms of race trim. There was a really big incident in turn 3 a few laps into the race that I feel like I was very lucky to get away with that damage. Very much just had to find a gap through the cars. They were all sort of sliding down the banking, which is always very tough. So I think overall experience paid off quite a lot there. And then yeah, it was in the end P15 for me, P16 for Saoirse. A little bit nervous because of the possibility of P15 becoming the reverse grid pole, but in the end it was 12. So a lot of the field ahead of me shaping up for race 2, but I was starting sort of in the middle of the pack where there's not to be as much pressure from behind. So that was quite nice.
And you mentioned that your performance engineer was key to this. Was your spotter key as well in getting you through a few instants? Because there were a few big ones in race 1, weren't there?
Yeah, sure. I had Roxy on the stand for me this week, and you know we had quite a lot of chemistry as well, so that was quite nice. And yeah, especially that instant in turn 3. Having those eyes in the sky to let you know what's happening ahead of you came through really helpful. Obviously, you're seeing it at basically the same time that they are, so it's very much down to what you can see from inside the cockpit. But as the field starts to spread out and those incidents happen a little bit further up the road, having that voice in your ear to talk you through an incident can really help you not just keep the car in one piece, but also try and stay in touch with the cars ahead, because ultimately you're going to have a little bit of luck in that sense, but having someone alongside to help you through it definitely is a huge factor.